Alright, yesterday we did neuron stuff. If hopefully you guys watched the video, just so I can kind of get ahead. I tried doing this and drawing, it didn't work, and we ran out of time. Glial cells, glue in Greek. Go Greece. Alright, so these kind of are the glue that helps the neurons. Okay, so these are glial cells of the CNS. When you talk about the CNS, we haven't talked about it yet. You talk about the brain and you talk about the spinal cord. Okay, brain and spinal cord. So you've got astrocytes, star-shaped cell. I don't know what we got through yesterday, so let me just do it again. Kind of has this appearance with these long extensions. Okay, structure and support. All right, so they almost like scaffold the brain. All right, it gives it the support needed. Kind of holds neurons in place. All right, so you find these in between neurons. All right, again, just holding things together. I'm pretty sure in this class we talked a little bit about this. Okay, how if you have an injury to the brain, all right, the astrocytes kind of surround it to protect it. All right, that's called a glial scar. Very similar to like a scar tissue. There's a protein that is found in here, okay, that helps make this scar, called CTE. Okay, so that's how you can kind of measure someone's CTE. Interesting commercial I saw yesterday. I don't see the Vincent Jackson one. He committed suicide. Was not diagnosed with one concussion. Never diagnosed with one concussion, and then family. I think he had like 4 kids, and then all of a sudden just committed suicide. And then they looked at his brain and they saw all the CTE, all the scar tissue on his brain. And they're like, holy cow! Yeah.
What's the drawing of Leslie at number 3?
Yeah, I'll explain this. So the last one, a blood-brain barrier. So if this is a blood vessel, all right. So if this is a blood vessel, all right, these astrocytes, all right, are the barrier. So you can see how the astrocytes have these extensions, all right, and then doesn't allow large particles, things like that, to enter the brain. All right, so that's your blood-brain barrier. So astrocytes have a lot of functions. All right, there's some more, but these are kind of the more important ones. Move up or leave it. I don't know where we're at. Okay. Microglia, small glia is a glial cell, just a small phagocyte. This doesn't, when we learned immunology, we're talking about more like, phagocytosis of like bacteria and viruses and things like that. The microglia is just going to be more of a phagocyte of like a damaged cell. All right, so if one of the neurons is damaged and there's debris, it's just going to clean that up. All right, so it's a phagocyte just in the brain. Okay. Ependymal cells are just cells located in the lateral ventricle. You guys don't know what the lateral ventricle is, but we will shortly when we dissect the brain next week. But these cells are located in the ventricle, which is a hole in the brain. Again, and they secrete cerebral spinal fluid. Sorry, when I wrote this out, I put the short version. Cerebral spinal fluid. All right, cerebral spinal fluid acts as a lubrication. More importantly, though, it acts as a cushion. Okay, it cushions your brain if you're ever to get hit in the brain. All right. Can I move up, or am I going too fast? Oligodendrocyte. So if this was if this is a cell body, let's just say we had the dendrites. Okay, dendrites. Again, here's my drawing on the fly. How bad is it? Okay, so right here, where the X is, that would be an oligodendrocyte. And what the oligodendrocytes do is they make myelin sheath. So these guys, all right, oligodendrocyte will go next to 2 parallel neurons and start forming myelin sheath. It'll move down a little bit and then start forming more myelin sheath. Okay, so the oligodendrocyte is produced making myelin sheath. Can I flip? This is the oligodendrocyte, that cell right there, and you can kind of see it making myelin sheath on both sides.
Right, so what's like the ball in the middle?
That's the cell.
Oh.
This is a neuron, that's a neuron, that's a neuron. So what the oligodendrocyte does is it makes the myelin sheath on the axon. So this is the cell, that's the cell, that's the myelin sheath. Sorry, my drawing's bad. So myelin sheath, myelin sheath, myelin sheath, myelin sheath. This is the axon, and then these are your dendrites with the cell body. I think it looks like a Picasso. TBH, but okay. You're not going to have to draw it anyways. I just drew it. I mean, on your test or quiz, what cell makes myelin sheath? That's all you need to know. Perfect. Now, another cell makes myelin sheath, but it's on the PNS, peripheral nervous system. So that's your nerves. So any nerve other than the brain or spinal cord is your peripheral nervous system. And you've got Schwann cells that do the exact same thing as a oligodendrocyte. The difference between a Schwann cell is one Schwann cell can only make myelin sheath on one neuron, where oligodendrocytes, if you looked here, they can kind of work on two at one time. Schwann cells just do it to one, make myelin sheath. Okay. You also have it's called a satellite cell. It's also structure and support, but I didn't add it on there. Okay, so these are your glial cells.